phenomenon in Afghanistan, and because terrorism and narcotics, drug dealers, they are working each other. Of course, Afghanistan is a poor country. The current economic situation in Afghanistan will have a negative effect for the long term, if not for the short term, because the international community, including the United States, would not have the sufficient money to help Afghanistan. Another day, President Karzai was asked about the assistance from the United States, saying that what you expect from the United States when the elect President Obama will come to the office. President Karzai said, yes, President Obama 2 years ago, all the time he said, you have to ask more money from President Bush, you need more money. But a couple of days ago, when I had a phone call with elect President Obama, I told him, okay, it's good luck for Afghanistan. Since you're coming, you will provide more money. He told me, no. United States has an economical crisis right now. I cannot promise this more money anyway. But the fact is that drug, it is one of the main sources for financing and terrorism in Afghanistan. And there is other sources coming from some other part of the world, which I don't have any exact information to share with you right now. As regard to the drug in Afghanistan, I can tell you the government of Afghanistan, with the assistance by the international community, we are trying our best not to fight against terrorism, also to deal with drug. And the last year, according to the UNODC report, 3 years ago, Afghanistan had 28 provinces were busy with the cultivation of drug. Last year, it was reduced to 18 provinces, but this year it has been reduced to 11 provinces. And 95 or 94% of drug are going to right now is going to be produced in the Helmand, which most of that provinces under the Taliban and Al-Qaeda or terrorist control. It means whereas Taliban and Al-Qaeda, the part which is under Taliban and Al-Qaeda's control, the most drug are going to be produced in that part. So it means drug and terrorism, they are working with each other very closely. It's the main source for the financing of terrorism. And the government of Afghanistan, international community trying their best to fight against not just terrorism and drug, also in order to limit the resources for terrorism. Of course, another part of the main resources coming from some other part of the world, and I don't have the exact information, and for the time being, and I don't have in a position to share that information with you. Thank you.
Over to Madison and then to Tinek for 2 questions each, and we may have a couple of minutes left over at the end, in which case if any university has any additional question, we may be able to take it at the end. Over to Madison for 2 questions.
Good morning. I'm a freshman here at Fairleigh Dickinson in Madison. President Karzai recently mentioned his phone conversation with President-elect Obama. What actual support does the government of President Karzai expect from President-elect Obama in Afghanistan's fight against terrorism?
Okay, second question.
Also, how has the status of women improved under the government of President Karzai?
Okay, sir, what do you want from the United States?
The United States, the people of Afghanistan are grateful for the people and government of the United States. They are doing a great job to help Afghan people to get out from the situation since 2001. And we have a lot of achievements in all areas, and the education and the healthcare. And the first time in the history of Afghanistan, we have the circle road in Afghanistan. It's the first time in the history of Afghanistan, and the first time in the history of Afghanistan we had such a presidential election, which most of the people of Afghanistan participate in that. And the first time in the history of Afghanistan, we had the election of parliament, and plus. So beside all this achievement we have, and we have the challenges. The main challenges is terrorism and narcotics, and of course corruption. And we are asking the United States to continue their support to build capacity in Afghanistan. We don't want the United States to stay in Afghanistan forever on the international community. We are asking to give more assistance to the national army, to police, to national security. We should have the strong police, the strong national army, the strong security forces to defend Afghanistan first. The second, they should provide more economic assistance to build economic infrastructure in Afghanistan in order to create an opportunity for the Afghan people to work and to earn a legitimate income to survive, and plus, as I mentioned, to help the Afghan National Army, police, and the government of Afghanistan to stand on its own feet to defend Afghanistan.
What about women?
Women.
I want to know about women also, because when we went into Afghanistan 5 or 6 or 8 years ago, people said, these Taliban are horrible because they put women in tents with 2 holes for the eyes and they mistreat women, etc. But now we've been there for 5 or 6 years, but women are still going around in tents with 2 holes for the eyes. So what is the status of women in Afghanistan?
Yes, in our understanding, the government of Afghanistan I believe that women in Afghanistan, it is our sisters, our mothers. If today's girls, tomorrow's mother will not be educated, they cannot help their children to be educated and to build Afghanistan. That's why the main goal in Afghanistan, the main goal of the government is to build school for girls, to create conditions for girls to go to school and to be educated, to be an educated mother in order to help her kids to be educated and to help Afghanistan first. The second, we have a lot of achievement in Afghanistan. And we have women's enough. 6.5 million kids going to Afghanistan to schools. Almost 45% of them girls going to school right now. And we have 45% of employees in the governmental offices, mostly in the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Higher Education, in Kabul University, and bank system in Afghanistan. And we have a ministerial post in the cabinet. We have the Ministry of Women Affairs. We have almost 35% of members of the parliament right now, women in Afghanistan. So the women in Afghanistan, and the first time in the history of Afghanistan, the Constitution of Afghanistan guarantees the equal right between women and men. So we have a lot of achievement in order to improve the situation of women in Afghanistan. We built the healthcare center in different provinces, different districts in Afghanistan for women. So we have a lot of achievements. We have still challenges. The terrorists they are trying to prevent women to be a healthy part of the society in Afghanistan. As you heard, and they are trying to burn the school. 2 days ago, they burned a school in the northern part of Afghanistan, which 450 girls were going to the school. They burned the school. In Kandahar, a couple of days ago, they spread acid on the face of girls who were going to school. They're trying to prevent them going to school. So we have a lot of achievements. The people of Afghanistan doing its best to improve the situation of women in Afghanistan, but terrorists still trying to deprive this main part of Afghan society for having a normal life in our society. Thank you.
Over to Tinek for 2 questions from Tinek.
Good morning, Ambassador Kamal and Minister Ayoob. Will you comment on President-elect Obama's recent comments regarding Afghanistan, that the solution to the problems of the Taliban and Al-Qaeda lies in a regional political approach, bringing in Iran, China, Russia, as well as Pakistan?
Hi, good morning. And among the most important root causes of terrorism in certain countries to blame in the issue of terrorism is the scholars, the religious scholars in the mosque, and the educational curricula in schools that persistently encourage religious fanaticism and non-tolerant orientations. The question is, to what extent is Pakistan willing to address and tackle the problem of terrorism